Welcome to Boomer Being. Here with us today to help us take our health seriously while taking ourselves lightly is stress and burnout expert Carol Ann Small. Carol Ann is a nationally known speaker who offers a unique perspective on the benefits of banishing burnout, finding life balance, and adding more humor into our lives. Carol Ann has appeared on Good Morning America, the Majestic Theater, and the Comedy Connection with Dennis Leary, and her book is called Humor Us, The Power of Laughter. Welcome, Carol Ann.
Thank you. So glad to be here.
Wonderful to have you. So let's get started, and I'd love to know where and when you developed your sense of humor.
Well, I developed my sense of humor as a very young child because my family had a fantastic sense of humor, so we were always laughing. And especially my grandmother had a wonderful sense of humor. Was a great storyteller. And I do make jokes now, but when you grow up chubby with the last name Small, you better develop a sense of humor. Plus, she had an Irish brogue, and she couldn't say Carol, so she insisted on calling me Cattle. She'd say, Cattle, put on the kettle, the kettle, cattle.
No.
And my cousin said, well, she called me Dibby. I said, she didn't call you Cattle. So, but my family had a wonderful sense of humor, watched a lot of comedies with my mom, and was really around funny people, so I was fortunate. But you don't necessarily have to grow up in that environment to have a sense of humor, because I belong to a national association of other motivational humorists. They did a poll once, we were all there, how many people grew up in a funny family, and only 10% raised their hands.
Oh.
And 90% didn't, and they developed a sense of humor, found funny people, just went out on their own and did it. So if you grow up in a serious family, you still can have a lot of fun.
So there's hope for all of us.
There's hope. Everyone has a sense of humor. It's a matter of letting it out.
Good to know. So I understand we have a clip of you absolutely cracking up an audience.
Not too much pressure, yes.
Can you paint the scene for us before we show the clip?
Yes, this was a national healthcare conference where they called me in between all the serious speakers to say, we want a message on stress and lightening up because they know happy employees are productive employees. So I take serious topics, do the research, and present them in a humorous way because adults learn better when it's presented in a fun way.
Mm-hmm.
So they said this was a national healthcare conference, a lot of nurses and doctors. Very fun crowd.
I know you're all from healthcare, and I'm from a healthcare family. I just want to set it straight. There'll be absolutely no talk tonight about bodily fluids. I have spent Thanksgiving with you people. Oh, actually, I was delighted to speak for the wound, ostomy, and incontinence nurses. But when we get stressed, our stress hormone cortisol, what it does is it releases fat and it dumps the fat into our stomachs. So that means, imagine. So that means if you worry about having a pot belly, it will just get bigger.
Baby boomers experience all kinds of stress as members of the sandwich generation. Those boomers taking care of young children and possibly parents or elderly relatives at the same time. Carol Ann, you've become a caregiver in your life.
Oh, yes.
Can you explain to us how you've managed to banish your own burnout and deal with the stress spiritually in a healthy way? Can you describe that for our audience?
Yes, a lot of my life is a boomer's life. We all have so many stresses and demands, and this is how life is. You have a nice peaceful week planned, you get a phone call, everything changes. A friend of mine gave me a good analogy years ago. He said, it's like when you're a young parent and you have a small child, you haven't been out of the house in months, and you get invited to a big wedding, you're so excited, you're all dressed up, you're going out the door, you kiss the baby goodbye, and the baby spits up on your outfit, and you don't have a plan B. And now you're scrambling, you're late for the wedding. That is a Boomerville life. This is what happens, and whether it's with older parents or your own health issues, we have everything planned, but life doesn't necessarily work that way. So when these situations come up, what I was taught was you get out of the problem, you get into the solution. Because when that phone rings, all of us, someone's in the hospital, I have to constantly remind myself to get out of the problem, stay calm, breathe, because when you breathe, you oxygenate your brain. Because if you stop breathing, that's why you can't think clearly. And also letting go of the perfectionism. Sometimes when you're 80% done with the job, it is over. That last 20% is the perfectionism. So I used to be a type A, now I'm a B minus. So it took a little while to accept that some things had to go.
So breathe, get out of the problem.
Get out of the problem, get into the solution, because when we don't do that, we get into the 3 F's, the flight, the fight, or the freeze syndrome. So you get kind of panicky, when you have too much to do.
Oh, yeah.
And, the fight, you want to fight with someone or argue, which isn't a good idea, especially if it's someone you work with, or maybe someone you live with. Or the flight, you say, I'm out of here, I am not dealing with this. But the one that they don't talk about is the freeze. And I used to have a challenge with that. I know a lot of people do. All of a sudden, like I said, you get a phone call, something happens, and your brain just shuts down. And that's because when you're under stress, 80% of your cognitive ability shuts down. This is why I said, again, if you have a small child and they run in the middle of the street, you yell out, Susan, James, Pumpernickel, whatever your name is, get out of the street. You can't even remember your child's name. You can't remember what you're doing because all the blood rushes from your head into your extremities, ready for you to run away from dinosaurs. Whether it's dinosaurs or deadlines, it's the same feeling. So with the freeze, it's good to stop, breathe, stay in the moment, and then if you can't think straight, phone a friend. Have a buddy you call, and I have to do that. I do that for a lot of people, but when I get stuck, I say, let me call someone, stay calm, get into the solution.
I love that.
It works. It's doing it. It works. It's always easier to help someone else do it than yourself.
Absolutely. I think we all know that.
Yes.
You were sick at one time and were able to recover and banish your own burnout.
Yes.
And you've said boomers need to lighten up, which I love that. How did you accomplish this in your own life, and how do you recommend other boomers accomplish this?
Well, I think you really have to schedule in fun time. Like studies have shown that children laugh an average of 400 times a day. Well, adults only laugh 15, and it's so good for us to laugh because when we laugh, we release endorphins into our brain, which gives you sort of a natural high. And I say, which anyone who partied in college, it's so much cheaper than having to pay for it. So we forget, if you want to be reminded of to have fun, watch a 5-year-old. They know how to have a good time. They're not worried. Or our pets. My cat has never been in a stress management class because they know how to relax. We forget to put that in our system. We forget to put it in our calendar. And the thing is really scheduling some fun, even if it's 15 minutes in the day. Have books, have cartoons around. Call a friend that makes you laugh. We don't have to wait till we go on vacation. We have to really incorporate something to look forward to maybe once a week and a little bit every day. People put it on hold. So that's what I did. I put it on hold. I got severe burnout. They call it adrenal fatigue. And one day, I just couldn't get off the bed. And that was January 2005. I spent many years and many thousands of dollars trying to get better. And I had to totally revamp my life, change how I ate, just a whole health revamp. And now I'm back.
I'm pretty impressed with that, to go from not being able to, function to who you are today. That's very impressive.
Well, that's why, I really, life is funny. Like they say, bless the mess. When I was going through all this, I said, what am I going to do with this? And I thought, well, let me teach others. Because I knew better. I was a stress management consultant, and I did this to myself. And I had people saying, I think you're going down the road to burnout. I said, I am fine. I am fine. I kept pushing. And then I had to, like I said, change everything, rebuild. I have a lot of resources. It was like going back to college to learn everything. And now I have the ability to help others so they don't have to go down that path.
That's fantastic.
So life, that old saying, life gives you lemons, make lemonade.
Well, my follow-up question was going to be, how do you stay well? I mean, this is a great accomplishment. Are there some other ways in which you were able to pull yourself to the point where you are now?
Yes. I said, I got to the point I could barely drive the car, and I said I looked at my whole life, how to revamp. One of the first things I did, a friend told me about this in-home test they had that was only available for Olympic athletes for about 30 years, very exclusive test. And what it does is It's a 3-panel test, and it looks at how you metabolically process things, inflammation, detox, all these things. It takes a snapshot. What's going on in your cells for the past 6 months? Goes to a laboratory, comes back, makes a customized supplement for you. So you're not guessing, not having 20 things, not guessing, do I need this phytonutrient? Do I need this? I did that. That gave me a great jump start because I started to feel better because there was no way I could balance the inflammation. And from seeing the test results, when I saw the inflammation, then I realized I had the adrenal fatigue and started studying that. Another thing that was really important is keeping the stress down. Exercising, that keeps they say if you walk around the block, that's almost equivalent to a small dose of an antidepressant. Okay. But you have to find exercise that you like, because I had to give up jogging for my health because my legs kept rubbing together and setting my pantyhose on fire. So that one didn't work. So there's so many things that you can do, but those were a couple of things. I know later on I think we might talk about the food aspect. But
well, you mentioned the brain and the blood flow. What does burnout do to your brain? I know you've become a little bit of an expert on all these.
Oh, the brain. When you're not keeping your brain healthy, nothing works, because that's your cognitive ability to make rational decisions. What happens is your prefrontal lobe, this is your logical brain. You have your basic brain, your reptilian brain. I said it's like Kermit. Kermit starts running the show. We all remember Kermit from when we were little kids. And that is your ice cream brain. I want it now. I want it now. And doesn't make the best decisions. It's your impulsive brain. Mm-hmm. Oh, if I eat that box of cookies, I won't feel well tomorrow. Oh, the heck with it. Well, when our brain isn't functioning correctly, that basic brain takes over. And it doesn't necessarily tell us the right thing to do. And our logical brain kind of takes a vacation. And then you look back and you say, geez, I didn't make the best decision there. Why? That's why the breathing and nutrients for your brain, eating's really important. How you eat is important for your brain. Your blood sugar, I found out that I was hypoglycemic, which means your blood sugar drops precipitously. And a lot of times people don't feel well, and a lot of it's just their diet. They're inflamed. They're not having enough protein. You should have 15 grams of protein every 2.5 to 3 hours. It keeps your blood sugar even, which keeps your mood even. So I said you're not grouchy with other people. Your brain is clear, and you'll have a whole different mood in the day.
I'm glad you mentioned a few things you can do, because it's not easy to say, oh, I have my Kermit brain,
Well, the good thing about the Kermit brain is, the good thing about the Kermit is that, I see what brains run in the show. And I said that to someone once who's a neuroscientist. And I said, oh, the bad brain's taking over. He says, no, your brain's being lazy. The prefrontal and the reptilian brain should work together. And he says sometimes when you get overtired, just like when we're really fatigued, we may not make a great decision on something. Sleep is really important. Going to bed, if you can, before 10, because our growth hormone is between 10 and 2. I'm a light sleeper. I use earplugs reluctantly. You get the wax earplugs. Plus, those are really good if you go somewhere and it's really loud, or if you have to go to something and you don't really want to be there. I do this because I have longer hair. I take the earplugs and I put one in, and then I put another one in. And what it does is it tones it down 60%. But you can't do it too much, because then people ask you a question and they think there's something wrong with you. And my friend said, you actually I said, I have put the earplugs in when I'm around negativity. I think, I am not taking this on. And I put the earplugs in. I put my hair over and I cover it.
Oh my gosh.
And I can hear them, and then if they actually ask me a question or something, I discreetly take one out. But I have, because I'll be surrounded. We get besieged by negativity or loud noises. Sometimes you go to the movies now, it's really loud, or a concert, it's really loud. So I've done that just to, kind of keep my nervous system calm.
So that's part of when you said breathe, take a deep breath, is because you personally are like getting all this into line, like reducing negativity.
Yes.
Getting yourself to breathe, oxygenating. You're doing all those things when you take that breath.
Yes, because we're so besieged by negativity and stimuli, because now we're in the high technology age, which is fantastic, but we need to rest our brain. That's why I love to go to Maine. And I'm a type A. I love people, but when I go away a lot of times, I go to Maine by myself. And we have a family cottage up there, and my brother had said, "You are the only person I know who goes away for a week by herself, has come to the cottage, doesn't have anyone, doesn't come out for an entire week." And I bring all my supplies in. I'm like a squirrel. I bring them all in, and then I get mad if I have to leave. And I say, why would I leave paradise? It's beautiful, the ions in the air, quiet, peaceful. And then I rejuvenate and come back. Some people need something more exciting. I do that too. Some people want to go on an exciting vacation and have some fun and have a memory. So you got to balance and see what's good for your nervous system.
Let's talk a little bit more about food. I know food is universal, and everyone's interested in what I can eat, to help in terms of my total health.
Yes. Well, years ago, a friend of mine sent me a photo, and she said, "This is the original fast food." And you know what it was?
No.
A fruit basket. That was our fast food. It wasn't Twinkies. Twinkies went away. Twinkies came back. Twinkies last for 30 years. I mean, if you are what you eat, you really want to be thought of as a Twinkie or a Ding Dong. I mean, what are you putting in your mouth? And the people wonder why they're living on caffeine like me. I lived on caffeine. And that's how I got through. And I said I got addicted to Coke. Diet Coke. I know I'm always hesitant to say that out loud somewhere, thinking someone's going to edit it and take the Diet Coke part out. And I knew it wasn't good for me, but I needed to get things done.
Mm-hmm.
So you think, what? I had 2 a day. What is the big deal?
Mm-hmm.
That's almost $800 a year. So it took the rust off the bumper of my bike when I was 8. It's probably not that bad. Or you can always go to $4 and get a coffee. So those things, and that's what we usually do. We try to stimulate our system. People do that at 2 or 3 because they're tired.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do the eating, the 15 grams of protein, get a protein bar. Look, make sure it has 15 grams,
mm-hmm.
and I keep them on me because I can feel the blood sugar going. I went to London a few years ago with my husband, got a big meal in the morning, very strong tea, and then he'd say, "I'm all set till dinner."
Mm-hmm.
Well, I didn't know I had this blood sugar issue, and most people don't know. So I could see at lunch I was getting ornery. I was like, "We have to find salad, I have to have chicken, I need to eat." I mean, I was downright ornery by the end of the day. I said, "I need food, feed me." I mean, really, if I knew now, I'd have the protein. I would take care of myself and have a protein bar, and I'm much nicer. But when the blood sugar drops, I mean, it is not pretty.
Yeah.
But
mm-hmm.
if you have a sugar craving,
mm-hmm.
and you have some protein, even though you don't feel like having it, it goes away.
Really?
Or if you have a handful of nuts and some medjool dates, and you wait 10 minutes, it raises your blood sugar just enough, and then you feel good. But another thing, too, has a lot to do, like I said, with your stomach, as far as the serotonin. 80% of your serotonin is in your tummy. It's not in your brain. So what you eat affects your serotonin, which affects your brain. So if you're really stressed, I told you, I do research, I find these real life things, but show them in a fun way. What you do when you're really stressed, you wake up at 3 in the morning, you go, angst, you rub your belly. The cameraman, your own belly. So, yes, you rub your belly, and that releases serotonin.
Okay.
Now, you may not want to do that at the board meeting, or they think, oh, she's ready for lunch. People may think you're bizarre. But if you have a quiet place, really, when you do that, breathe. Before anything stressful, it raises the serotonin, and it raises your blood sugar, actually.
I'm going to start doing that.
Well, because what happens is, and you know how you get that gut feeling? Your brain tells you one thing, and your gut says, no, you shouldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Your gut is your second brain. I never knew that. And the reason it is because there is a nerve that goes from your brain to your stomach. And do you know what it's called? Your vagus nerve. So this is the nerve that says, don't go gambling. It is. It's V-A-G-U-S, not V-E-G-A-S. It goes from your head to your stomach and back, and it signals. And that's why sometimes your head gets confused, you get too many things to do, and your gut says, that's not a good idea. I would follow your instinct. That's there to protect us.
Well, that's great advice. So, motivational talks, you've gone all over the country giving talks, yes. And there's a lot of buzzwords, and I've seen on your website, it's
mm-hmm.
Resources, balance, words such as that.
Mm-hmm.
How do you help your audience with these major life issues?
Well, if you're a caregiver and you have elderly parents, there are a lot of resources. I started being a caregiver years ago. My parents lived together, but whether you have someone 80 or someone 8, they need extra help. But there are a lot of resources out there, something as simple as elder services.
Mm-hmm.
If you call them, they are a wonderful wealth of resources. A lot of them are free. The biggest thing is don't try to do it all yourself. I was taking it on. I have 2 older brothers. I'm the youngest, and it kind of fell on my lap, which I didn't mind, but I was trying to do it all, and that was part of the burnout because I was spreading myself too thin.
Sure.
And what you tend to do is put yourself on hold. This is what I was doing. Well, I'll put myself on hold, take care of everybody else. I'm from a healthcare family. This is what we do. And then you don't have fun to rejuvenate yourself. You have nothing left to give to other people.
Mm-hmm.
An analogy I like to use, it's as if you're swimming, just like life saving. I took junior life saving when I was a kid, and they taught us when you're saving somebody else who is drowning, you go out, you stay calm, you pull them close to you, you keep a boundary, but they're flailing around. If you don't have a good boundary with them and stay calm, you both drown.
They pull you down.
So if you don't take care of yourself, you have nothing left to give. And a lot of caregivers or boomers think you're being selfish if you're putting yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to. If I get a call and they say, oh, you got to go to the emergency room, which happens a lot when you hit a certain age, it just does. And now it's almost, I say, okay, get my bottle of filtered, get my water, get my protein bar, bring a jacket, emergency rooms are freezing, bring something to read, or at least pretend you're reading when all the craziness, you're in the 3-ring circus with everybody being crazy around this, and sometimes you wish you had something to read, and a lot of times it's not an emergency, but you just may have to do a hospital visit and stay calm. This happened recently, and I had to call my mother, a situation with my dad, and I said to her, get your water, do a protein drink, bring your jacket, it's going to be cold, and I knew to keep her calm because the family was getting carried away. And because in my family, Irish, we have a great sense of humor, but we also have a worry stone because we love to worry. That's what you do. And what they do is they go to the extreme, all the way, the worst possible thing. I have a headache. Oh, it's a brain tumor. Oh, thank goodness it's a headache. So I grew up with the syndrome. I still have it. If I call mom and I say, I'm speaking in Minnesota, I'm in New England, I'm speaking Rhode Island, I'm speaking in the backyard, and I do the same thing. If I get a little news that's off, I go, what is it? And, oh, it's reptilian brain. What is it? And then I say, oh, calm down. And I realized I do the exact, now that's not good for your adrenal glands when I got adrenal fatigue, because the adrenals are, you have your kidneys, and 2 little pinto beans that sit on top of your kidneys, and the fight or flight, they give you that energy, like, oh, I have to run and get out of the way. And they're also the things that wake you up at 3 in the morning because they go, coochie-coo, 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 and you have to get up 3 times to visit the bathroom and you get no sleep. So you want to keep your adrenals calm. No caffeine at the end of the day because that will wake you up too. That stimulates your adrenals.
Absolutely.
It takes 24 hours to get caffeine out of your system. So you don't want it at the end of the day because that's probably affecting your sleep.
Well, I know this question is a little bit redundant, but you've become an expert on banishing burnout in your own life and to help your audiences. So I know our audience is probably thinking, what are things that I can do every day to help reduce or banish burnout? It's a universal.
Not be a perfectionist. That's a big thing. Let it go. The 80-20 rule. At 80%, you're done. Forget the last 20. And the big thing is about saying no. No is a complete sentence. When you say yes, what are you saying no to? I ask myself that. When I say yes to you, what am I saying? I may be saying no to my sleep, to my own mental health, to my own dreams. And what I actually came up with, someone had sent me this wonderful list. If anyone wants it, I could send it to them. Aspects of your life, rating 1 to 10. Body, money, relationships, spiritual life, mind, tools, community, environment, education, family, work, charities, hobbies, vacation, pets, car. You look at this once a week, 3 minutes each, and you number what is the most important. But one of my favorite things is remember. A coach taught me this years ago. She said, Caroline, you're looking at too much at once. You got to chunk it down. Life is like a piece of Swiss cheese. You take the cheese, you take little bites at a time in all the different aspects of your life. And one day it's going to be you, one day it's going to be your parents, one day it's going to be your career, whatever it is. You chunk it down into little bites, and say to yourself, what is the next right action? Don't look 20 things. What's the next simple step I can do to stay balanced?
Excellent. So, and then eventually the goal is to be able to eat the whole chunk?
This is how you get yourself in trouble. This is what we do. This is what I tried to do. I tried to eat the whole chunk and then some. You want to do just a little bit at a time, little chunks like Swiss cheese.
That's great to know.
This is a little technique you can do. You tap the top of your knees. Could you tap the top of your knees? This actually is part of your brain. And what it does, if you're stressed out, this is really, a neuroscientist taught me that. If you're stressed out, it's cross-country skiing does the same thing. You think of what you're stressed out about, you tap, you alternate, and if your stress is at a 10, if you tap for a few minutes, it literally, you'll feel it go down to a 2 or 3, because it rewires your brain.
No kidding.
Yes. There's another one like this, the butterfly tap. But I said you have to think of what you can do in public and what you can't. Without people thinking you're bizarre. But these things really work. I'll say slow down, practice what you preach. We'll always get more life lessons to practice what we learn.
Thank you so much. These have been wonderful pointers. I'm sure all our baby boomers watching today will remember at least 1 or 2. Thanks for being with us on Boomer Being. See you next time.